how to identify high-value customers using Python as a newbie machine learning engineer. All right, so just before we start this session, I want us to take a moment, invite the people you think can benefit from this session in any way at all, right? Invite your colleague, invite your husband, invite your best friend, invite your sister or your brother. You know, anybody that has mentioned to you at some point, oh, I want to be a machine learning engineer, or I want to be a data scientist, I want to learn Python, and this person does not have any background in tech whatsoever, or doesn't know where to start or what this field actually entails. All right, so let's just make sure we share the link to this session with them and try to get them all on the call. I'll introduce myself in a bit, and I have a wonderful speaker that I will be bringing on board shortly to take you through the session, but I want to get to know you first. All right, so please put your name and where you're joining us from in the chat box. Let's all get to know ourselves. So put your name and where you're joining us from. Okay, I see Gloria Samuel. Gloria, where are you from? So you can just put Gloria UK or Gloria Nigeria or Gloria Canada, anywhere you're joining us from. All right, Gloria UK, wonderful. Welcome, Gloria. Welcome, Mutsunrayo. Anyone else? Let's go. I'm actually looking in the chat. So anyone else? One more person. One more person. Okay, Maysam UK, Aminat UK, welcome, 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 everybody. Thank you so much for indulging me. All right, so let's kickstart this session with an introduction. Who are we at 10Analytics and how do we do what we do? Now, 10Analytics is an educational technology company, and we are focused on providing specialized training in technology skills and also delivering comprehensive data services to everyone. Now, with over 4 years, we've spent the last 5 years actually, building the talents for the technology workforce. And we've helped over 3,500, professionals transition from the classroom into their first job in tech across the UK, US, Canada, Europe, Asia, and also Africa. All right, now we are committed, 100% committed to making the technology sector more accessible to people of the Black community, or people that look like you and me, through premium training in data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project management and Scrum Master professional, cybersecurity, AI engineering, and finally, why we are here today, data science. Now we have a team of wonderful, wonderful instructors from leading global companies like PwC, Microsoft, McKinsey, Amazon, and so on. And these instructors bring a wealth of real-world experience, and they are dedicated to delivering an engaging, practical learning experience that ensures that you are able to receive the maximum value that you would need, to get from your investments with us in the future. All right, so if this is your first time joining a 10Analytics Masterclass, I want you to put a 1 in the chat box. But if this is your second time or your third time, you can put any number of choice. But I want to be able to identify the new people that I have on this session today. So if this is your first time, just put a 1 in the chat, so I'm able to welcome you properly. Okay, I'm looking in the chats. Michael, 1. So this is Michael's first time. Welcome, Michael. Violet is an OG. Gloria is an OG as well. Fantastic. Welcome back. Always happy to see, old faces again. iPhone, welcome back. All right. So is Michael the only new person we have on this session tonight? Okay. So let's move on. So who is this person that has been speaking to you? A lot of you might know me by now, saying that you're OGs, but my name is Elizabeth Nana, and I am a product and senior agile project manager here at 10Analytics, with half a decade of experience in both product and project management. Now, I serve as a coach for agile teams, and I have successfully guided over 1,000 individuals with no prior agile experience into making a smooth transition into project management. I have trained a lot of people, and my experience also spans across multiple sectors like, healthcare, fintech, educational technology, as well as the 4 continents. And I've been able to apply my deep knowledge of the agile methodologies in my work with these different organizations. Now I have a wonderful speaker here tonight that is going to be taking us through how you can use Python as a newbie machine, learning engineer. Now we have Ifeanyi on the call with us tonight. Ifeanyi is a passionate educator, is a data expert, and also a career strategist with close to half a decade of experience in data science and also analytics. Now, Ifeanyi is a senior data science associate here at 10Analytics, and he also plays a key role in equipping participants and students, with both technical and soft skills in data science. Now, his work also focuses on transforming novices, people with no background at all, into job-ready professionals by providing the support that you need to land your first roles in the field. Now, Ifeanyi's expertise spans, data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, which is AI, data analysis, and also market research. Now, Ifeanyi is really committed to career transformation, and he has successfully taught and mentored over 300 individuals. His mission remains to lead learners from beginner level to job readiness, helping them transition seamlessly into tech and, to secure meaningful roles in the data industry. So in a short while, you will meet Ifeanyi. All right, but if you stay with us till the end of this session tonight, you will get access to the recording of this session and also the slides that I'm using to walk you through the session as well. Right, so during the course of the session, my colleagues are going to be dropping a link to the attendance form. So please ensure that you fill it and add your email address, because that is how we'll be able to send the materials across to you. So let's get right into it. What are we here to do today? All right, so first, you'll learn how to identify high-value customers using Python as a newbie machine learning engineer. Then I'm going to walk you through the pathway to becoming a data science professional and also securing a job. I'm going to walk you through the 10Analytics Growth Internship Program. And finally, if you stick with me till the end, I have something for you. I'll tell you what our special discount offer would be to you. But now I'm going to bring on Ifeanyi. Hi, Ifeanyi, are you ready for us?
Hello, Elizabeth. Yes, I'm ready.
Hi, Ifeanyi,
So
we can't
good
see
evening,
you.
everyone. I'm happy to.
Good evening. Yes, we can see you now.
Okay. I said I'm happy to be here with us today, and I'm going to walk us through the process of taking high-value customers with data science and machine learning. So you might have been interested in this particular skill, but you don't know where to start or where to start from or how to go about it. So that is my role for today. And thank you, Elizabeth, for the introduction. And we are just going to dive right in. So let me share my screen, and my slide is coming up. Yes. So what is this machine learning that we're talking about? Because the topic for today says recognizing high-valued customers using Python as a machine learning engineer. So what is this machine learning? You might have heard of machine learning, might have heard of AI, might have heard of these various terms, but you might not have any idea what it is. So my goal today is to introduce you to machine learning and walk you through a case study where you see the process of applying machine learning in real life scenario. I'm just going to make it a crash course, as the title said. It's going to be just a short course. But if you want to learn more about it, you can register for our program, and Elizabeth will give us more information about that once I'm done. So what is machine learning? Machine learning is a subset of AI that enables systems to learn from data, identify patterns, and make decisions with minimal human intervention. So it's just a way of automating tasks using data. So if you have data on different things, you might have data on customer informations and stuff like that. I want to make real-time decisions with them without having too much human intervening in the process, and to make it more practical in that sense. You use machine learning as a data scientist to do this. So you work with different models, with different techniques, and I'm just going to be showing you one of the ways you can use machine learning in real life. And so why is machine learning important? It helps us automate complex decision making. As I mentioned, it is a way of automating decisions with data. So instead of thinking through some complex decisions or always having to have human intervene in all the decision making process, you can use machine learning to automate this process. And it also improves accuracy and efficiency over time and unlocks insights from large data sets. So if you have a large number of data sets, most times those data sets will just have numbers, information, or data points, and you cannot make meaning out of it. But you can gain insights if you know machine learning. You can gain insights from that data. You can make that data solve real-world problems. And it also enables personalized experience and prediction. So as you can see, machine learning is a very important concept. And if you are going to be employed as a data scientist, this skill will make you add great value to any firm you are going to work with. So before we go into the project, there's a particular step or practical life cycle that data scientists use when working on machine learning projects. So we call this the CRISP-DM framework, and I'm going to be introducing it just for a little bit so that while we are working on the projects I'm about to start now, you would see how I'm applying this CRISP-DM framework. So the CRISP-DM stands for Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining. So that is where the CRISP, that is Cross-Industry Standard Process, then DM is for data mining. So it is a process or a model that data scientists follow to work with data. So it's data science process for machine learning project, for analytical process, and so on. So the CRISP-DM method have 5 key phases. So that is business and data understanding, data preparation, modeling, evaluation, and deployment. So you have to first understand what you're working with, what problem you're trying to solve. So that is the first stage. That is the business understanding stage. So once you understand the problem, you'll be able to bring solution to said problem. Then we have the data understanding phase. So data understanding phase is the phase where you try to understand what the data is all about, what the available data shows, and how you can use it to identify and address problems. And then there's the data preparation stage where you prepare the data for analysis. That the data comes in a format that you might not be, that might not be readily available for use. So as a data scientist, you convert it to a way that can be best used for you. And that is what the data preparation stage is all about. So if you are still with me, can you just type a 1 in the chat box so that I know we are all still with me here? Okay. So there's also the modeling stage where you explore the data for insights and develop models to solve those problems. So what core models are like simulations to solve those problems. And we are going to see how we can do that just now. And there is an evaluation stage. The evaluation stage is more interested in testing and evaluating the performance of the model to ensure optimal results. And there's also the last stage, which is deployment and monitoring stage. So after you have created the model, you have to put it in the systems for it to work, for it to be used. So it can be used by stakeholders within the business or outside the business, but it has to be readily available for them to interact with. And that is what we do in the deployment stage. And as you can see, it's deployment and monitoring. So after you deploy it, you have to monitor its performance. So this is just an introduction to the CRISP-DM method. If you want to learn more about it, you can register for our course where we go in depth into that. And Elizabeth will tell you more about that later on. So this is the case study we are going to work with. We have just been given like a bit of introduction of what we are going to do, but this is what we are going to focus on for today. Our case study for today focuses on this firm, Goodie Bag Mall. So it is a mall, and we are trying to get hands-on experience on processing and dealing with problems concerning that particular mall. So Goodie Bag is a modern retail hub that brings together a diverse mix of shops, boutiques, and service outlets under a particular proof. And they serve as one of the destinations for families and individuals, and they offer everything from fashion to lifestyle products to grocery and entertainment. And with a growing customer base, they have been increasing daily transaction, and they want to be able to make decisions with these transactions. So those are the data we are talking about. So when people make that transactions, they register it in their system, and now they want to use the information they have registered so far to make decision. So they want to create a seamless shopping experience while supporting their vendors with tools to enhance efficiency and customer satisfaction. That is their goal as a business. So now we're going to talk about the problem that they are facing and how we can help them with that. Goodie Bag face challenge of serving diverse customer base with varying age, income, spending habits. So the customers that patronize them come from different background and have different demographic information. So they're trying to use this information to improve customer experience. So without any proper segmentation, if they cannot segment the different demography of these customers, promotions and product offering we often fail to connect to the right audience. So they might be using money on sales, using money on discounts and so on. And it might be falling to the wrong hands because they are not using this information. They're not able to segment who and who will respond positively to this. So to do this, they must analyze the data to understand the spending pattern and segment similar customer and guide those customer and investors with reliable forecasts. So if they get the data, they can segment them using this machine learning technique we are going to talk about now, and they'll be able to guide investors and customers respectively, and to help them understand the different shoppers group and help them personalize marketing strategy. So now we are going to go into the more technical part of this. That is where we are going to talk about how we can use machine learning to solve this problem for this firm. So if you are pumped about that, you can just type yes in the chat box, then we go straight in. I want to see a yes in the chat box before I go on. Okay, thank you, Gloria. So my colleagues are dropped an attendance form and a feedback form, so you can fill the feedback form to get the slides and the code I'm about to use for this class. So let's go to Google Colab. So Google Colab is a tool we are going to use to run our code and it creates a Python environment. It's owned by Google. So you can just access the Google Colab by typing google.colab on your search bar, and it brings you to this page. And since you are starting the project from beginning, I'll create a new notebook. And to create a new notebook, the notebook is the environment where we write our code. So to create a new notebook, you click on New Notebook here, and you see a new notebook have been created in another tab. So it takes some time to load. I've already opened one here, so let me just cancel this, and let's use the one I had opened earlier. So this is how standard Python environment looks like. So in the Python environment, you see this. This is where you can write your code. This place you see start coding or generate with AI. This is where you can write your code. And we are going to be using this environment to run our code. So I have access to the data that I mentioned that Goodie Bag has collected so far. And I'm going to be bringing it into this environment. And to do that, I first have to import what we call libraries. In Python, libraries are collections of functions. So you can create your own function in Python environment, but some people throughout the years have decided to create a storage place for different functions that they know that data scientists use multiple times, that is, we use repeatedly. So instead of us to keep creating those functions every day, those people came together and decided to create a library where all those functions are stored. So we can use those functions that have already been created to solve real-world problem. So let me import my library. So these are the libraries we are going to be needing for these tasks. These are the libraries we need for these tasks. So we are going to use NumPy for mathematical operations. We are going to use pandas to get this our data and work with it. So Panda is what allows us to read this data into the Python environment and do some analysis on them. And we have Seaborn. Seaborn is for data visualization. It allows us to create charts and visualizations to understand what's happening in our data. And the same thing goes for Matplotlib. There's another data visualization tools that can be used hand in hand with Seaborn or can be used individually for data-related problems. I'm still going to introduce another visualization tool later on, but for now, let's import this. So to run this cell, you hold Shift and Enter on your laptop, and it runs that particular cell for you. So it takes some time to run, especially if it is the first cell you are going to run in the data sets and in the project. And while it's doing that, we can get our data set into this Google Colab environment. So to get data sets into Google Colab environment, you click on this file looking icon here. And once you click on it, you have this opened. So to upload it, you can either click here to see the different folders that exist in the Google Colab environment, or you could just do it directly, but I prefer doing it this way because it allows me to track exactly where the file is. So to import it, as I mentioned, you click on this icon here, then this dialog box appears, and you can use this dialog box to navigate your system to get where the data is. So mine is right here, and I can click here and click open. So I think it has successfully entered, and you can see it right here. So this is the data set, more customer.csv. So I can just copy the part of this. I can right click on it and select copy part to copy the part. And it's that part that we're going to bring into our Python environment. So as I mentioned, these libraries here, we can use them individually for our tasks. So you perform some functions concerning data science. And the one we are interested in here is pandas. It's pandas that allows us to read the data and perform some basic operations on the data and perform analytical operations basically on our data. So to use the pandas, I will just write PD, because remember, I wrote as PD here. So it means that anytime I call PD, I'm referring to pandas. So I can write PD dot read underscore CSV. Then I open my brackets and put the part I just copied earlier. So if you want to read a CSV file, as you can see here, the title ends with CSV. So if you want to read a CSV file, you use read CSV. So an Excel file, you write read Excel. If it is a starter file, you can write read starter and so on. So let's name this our data frame DF. So this is our data set. Let's just call it DF, and that is the name would be working with. So if I run this now, once this finish running, I have successfully uploaded my data set. So we can have a view of the data set. So to have a view of the first 5 rows in our data set, I can use the head function. So once I use the head function, we can see the first 5 rows. In the first 5 rows, you can see that we have information on customer ID, gender, age, annual income, and spending score. So this customer ID is a unique identifier for each of the customer. You can see the gender of this particular customer, the age of the customer, the annual income of the customer, and the spending score of the customer. So the spending score is just a measure of how much the customer spent on the scale of 1 to 100. So let's just, to get a view of only the columns, for example, I can just come here. So let me cancel this first. So I might need to refresh it. Let me refresh the page. It's having issue opening. Okay, so let me just repeat what I had done earlier, because that's clear. So yes, then we can read it in again. So yes, so as I mentioned, you can have a view of the first 5 rows with the head function. And you can just have a list of all the columns that we have. So to get the list of columns that we have, you can use dot columns function. And if you run this, you would see the columns that we have. So this is not enough information for this particular project because having just information on the columns is not enough for us. So another thing we can do is we can also have more information about each of those columns. And to get that information, we use the info function. So once I press df.info, we can see the different information here. So what you can see here is that we have 5 columns in our data set. We have 200 rows in our data set. And here is talking about the amount of rows for each of the column, and each of them have 200 rows. And here you can see non-null. So non-null means that there's no empty or missing data in any of these columns. If you are still with me, can you type a yes in the chat box so that I can know that you're still with me? Okay. So the next thing we are going to do here is we are going to start what we call exploratory data analysis. So what exploratory data analysis is, it allows us to see statistical information and exploring what our data look like. Remember, we said the first stage is business understanding, which we did on the slide. The second one is data understanding. So we are trying to understand the data using exploratory data analysis. So the first thing I want to check is I want to get statistical information on each of the columns in our data. So to do that, I use the describe function. So once I press df.describe and I run it, I see different statistical information about our data. So for here, what you would notice is that we cannot see any information on gender. And this is because it only focuses on the quantitative columns, but we are also interested in the qualitative columns. So when we say quantitative, we are talking about the ones that has to do with numbers that you can perform operations on, that you can multiply them, you can add them, and so on. When we're talking about qualitative, we're talking about categories. So to get the information on these categories, we can still use the same df.describe, but instead in the brackets, we add include equals to object. So once I do that, it shows the information on the categorical column here, which is gender. So if you go up here under info, you could see that it was only gender that had this object on that D type, and that D type stands for data type. So why it showed only gender here is because we put the descriptive statistics to also show object, to only show object. That's why we said include object. And this is the exploratory information, the statistical information about our gender column. So with these basic statistics, we can just go into performing data visualization on this data. So first thing we might want to create is a distribution plot to just know the distribution of income of our customer. So to create our distribution plot, we use the Seaborn library. Remember, I introduced Seaborn library earlier. I said it's for data visualization. So I can do this for annual income, and this is what we get. So from what we can see here, we can see that most of the income of our customers are between 50 to 75K. If you see here, that is where we have the peak in this distribution. Here is flat, there's nobody with zero amounts of income. And you see 25,000 is here. From 25,000 to 50,000 is within this part. But if you can see that the peak is between 50 to 75,000. So that means most of our customers have an income within the range of 50 to 75,000. And if we want to continue creating distribution plots for all the columns, it might get really stressful because we have to be creating one after the other. But instead, we can use what we call a loop. A loop in Python allows you to repeat a particular function or condition for multiple columns. So I'm going to drop the code to loop here. So here we remove the columns we are interested in, which is age, annual income, and spending score. Then we create our loop here. So what we are saying is that for each of the columns under here, create the same visualization. And if we run that, we have this visualization. So the first one is for age, the second one is for annual income, the third one is for spending score. So we can see that spending score is between 40 to 60. And our annual income is still the same as we saw before, between 50 to 75. And here for age, we see that most of our customers are between 30 and 40. That's 30 something years old. We have more of middle-age customer. So it's not only children products that is sold in this particular company. So we can also create as much visualization as we want. So let's say, for example, now we are interested to check the gender distribution in our data. We can use the count plot function in Seaborn. And if I run this, you see we have our data here. So here we can just see that we have more females than men. We have over 100 females and 80-something male. So Seaborn, as I mentioned, is just for data visualization, and you can use it for that data understanding step in the CRISP-DM method. So another thing we can also check is if income has any effects on spending, because we should expect that the more wealthy customer should buy more of our products. And we can do that using a scatter plot. So scatter plot is used to check relationship between two quantitative variables. So annual income is quantitative, spending score is quantitative, and we can create a scatter plot to show us that. And from here, we don't really see any pattern in the relationship between income and spending score. This thing is very scattered and shows that there's no pattern between that. So that might be something that will make you curious, because you're wondering why our higher income customers not spending more. So we can see that there's actually some sort of distribution within our data. We can see that here, the people with higher income, there are some people with higher income that actually spends more, while there are some people with high income that spend less, with low income that spend more. And we also can see here that there are some people that have low income and still spend less. So we can see that our customer comes from different categories. There are some that are frugal. There are some that, let's say, stingy. That is, they have the money, but they are not ready to spend it. There are some that are thrifty. That is, they have the money and they are willing to spend, and so on. So our customer segmentation algorithm will allow us to separate these people. So is that customer segmentation algorithm. You'll be able to know which of your customer is more valuable to you, and be able to target adverts and promotion to those specific customers. So we are going to get into that now. And to do that, we use what we call K-means clustering. So in data science, K-means clustering is a particular unsupervised learning models that allows you to cluster similar things together. So if you see the pattern in these data points are almost the same, you put them together. If the other ones are almost the same, you put them together. So it clusters them based on their distance between themselves. Because if you look at our scatter plots, you see that some were closer to the other and some were far from each other. So the K-means cluster, we recognize that these guys here are similar. These guys here are similar. And when we have any future customer that have the similar pattern of behavior with these guys based on the information that we have, it will cluster them here. So we would know immediately that these people are likely to spend less or are likely to spend high based on their own personal information. And that's why I mentioned that machine learning helps you to automate decision making. So you don't have to always try to look at your individual customers' behavior one after the other. You can just use these algorithms to check if you can just use this algorithm to automate the process of deciding if you should market to this person, you should give this person discounts, and so on. If you are still with me, can you type yes into the chat box once again, so that I'm sure you are following? Okay, thank you very much, Gloria. So Gloria is very active today. So before we do that, what you will notice is that in our data set, our spending score is between 1 to 100, but our income can be as much as possible, and they are already in thousands. So from here, you can see that there are some customers that make 20,000, there are some that make 40,000, some make 80,000, some make 100,000, some make 120,000, and so on. So their values are quite large compared to this in the spending score. So you won't be able to compare two of them together. It's just like trying to compare how a developing country's policy is effective compared to a more developed country. Let's say want to check how government spending, for example, improve lives in a country like, let's say, Nigeria, that's a developing country, and we're trying to compare something like US that's already rich, that already have good standard of living before those policies came in. It would be a bad comparison. They are not equivalent to each other, and comparing them like that will seem like if you are giving USA more points for everything they do compared to Nigeria. So in data science, when we have those kind of problem, what we do is that we scale them together so that one particular variable is not overemphasized in our model. So to scale it, we first come to this library. Oh, sorry, I haven't imported the library. So we use scikit-learn library. I should have imported this earlier. So we can say import standard scalar from sklearn.preprocessing. So sklearn is for anything concerning machine learning. It's our library for machine learning. It has all the models and it has all the things that help us to pre-process them. So when we say pre-process, it's like that data cleaning I mentioned in our CRISP PM methodology. Remember I mentioned we start with business understanding. That's what we did when we're looking at the slides. We go to data understanding, which we are doing now. When we looked at our data visualization, we looked at their statistics, we looked at all those things. So those are the data understanding stage. So the next one was now data preparation, and that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to put the data in a way that our model will be able to use it to make good predictions. And to do that, we can use sklearn for that. So another name for data preparation is called pre-processing. So we are trying to process the data before usage. That's why they call it pre-processing. So to import the library we use this function. That is, we are saying from sklearn.preprocessing, give us standard scalar. So after importing that, we can now go into creating an object. So this standard scalar function, we put it into the scale. So anytime we call on scale, it knows that it is using the standard scalar. And for this, we won't need all the information in our data set to actually do this. We will need only the quantitative ones, because it's this quantitative information that this k-means clustering can recognize. It does not recognize categorical information. But later, I'll show you how to still find the patterns in categorical information after doing your analysis. So I'm going to just collect a subset of my data set. So I'm going to collect the age, annual income, and the spending score. So remember, name of our data, we named our data DF, but now let's just call it DFF, just another name to differentiate this one from the full data set. So I can create this DFF and check the first 5 columns of DFF using dff.head as we learned earlier. So we can see that it was actually imported correctly. We can see the first 5 columns are there. So remember I said that we have to scale this thing down, and we have created a scale object here. So I can just come here and use this function to scale down this DFF. So I don't want us to keep creating different names. So let's just still name this scaled version of DFF. And if I run this, it has been scaled. And when it is scaled, Python usually turns it into a form of matrix. If you remember matrix from high school, that is numbers in rectangular array. And because I know most of us are afraid of mathematics, and so that it's also easier for us to understand, we're going to turn it back to the normal way. So look at it now. You can see that it's in form of matrix. They are inside these square brackets, and which can be really confusing. So to turn it back, we'll use another set of function. So we are going to try to create it back into another data frame and name it with the column name. So the numbers are actually still arranged. So as you can see here, what you see here is that the first group of numbers here stand for age. The second group of numbers here stand for, I think that should be income, yes, annual income. Then the third group of numbers stand for spending score. So if you look at it here, now that it is skewed, the first one here is age, the second one is annual income, the third one here is spending score. So let's create a new data frame. That's another data set, but now we have the heading for each of the columns so that we don't have to keep guessing which is which. So I was a little bit confused now when I wanted to talk about the position of each of the characters. So I can use this instead. And now if I check it, let me use .head so it does not show something as long as the last one. So if I check it now, it's still running. It might take a little bit of time because it's trying to create the data set from the scratch. So now you can see that the first one is age, the second one is annual income, the third one is spending score. So we can now use this to create for our customer segmentation. So we can use these skilled values for our modeling. So now we have entered the next stage of the CRISP-DM method. Remember, CRISP-DM starts from business understanding, data understanding, data preparation, then modeling. So we are about to enter the modeling stage. So to create our k-means clustering model, there's what we call the elbow method, because we don't know the amount of clusters that exist in our data set. Our human eye sometimes might find it hard to see the number of clusters that are perfect for our data set. So we will try using different clusters. So when I'm talking about cluster, if you look at this scatter plot, where's the scatter plot created earlier? Yes. Look at our scatter plot here. You don't know how many ways you can divide the amount of customers that are here. So what we do is that we try a lot of ways, then the way that we see gives us the best results, or that gives us the lowest error, we pick it as the number of cluster that we can use. So we can try that using this function. So remember, this is a loop. We've created another loop here. So we'll try it using 1 cluster, 2 cluster, 3 cluster, and so on, up to 11 clusters. So if I run this now, we can see it here. So for the first cluster, we had this amount of error. Let's just call it error for the sake of this shortcut. We have this amount of error. We had an error here and so on. But we notice that after the fifth clusters, the number of errors were not reducing significantly. It was just little by little, it was reducing. But here you can see that from here to here, the error reduced by large amounts. Like when we increase the cluster from 1 to 2, the error reduced by a large amount. When we increase it from 2 to 3, it's reduced by a large amount. From 3 to 4, by a large amount. But from this 5, it started breaking little by little. So we can pick this and decide to now use a k-means clustering model with only 5 cluster, and we can check what it would look like. So let's do that. Let me come here and type in my code. So here I'm using the k-means clustering, but now I'm choosing only 5 as the number of cluster. And if I run it now, so it takes some time because it's trying to think. So now it has successfully clustered, it has successfully separated our customers into different spending and income clusters. So you see, these ones, they belong to number 4 category. This one belongs to number 1. This one belongs to 4. But this does not make sense because they are numbers. It's hard for us to understand what is going on here. So what we can do now is that instead of just looking at these numbers, we can try to visualize it. We can try to visualize what it will look like. And before we visualize it, we have to know where each of those clusters are concentrated. So let me show you what I mean with this scatter plot. So in this scatter plot, you can see that we have different types of customers. So, but you notice that some of them are centered in a particular position. So we have to create those centers before we visualize it so that we can see the centers in our visualization. So let me come here and create my centers. So I've created the center, but it's, as I mentioned, it's be hard for us to know what it looks like. So I won't waste time on that. I will just jump into visualization so you can see what these our centers that we mentioned, I'll be talking about actually looks like. So let me do that here. And from here, you can see that we have this star here represents the center, and these colors represent the different clusters. So you can see that it successfully classified these people as the same kind of people. It classified this as the same kind of people, classified this one here as same kind of people, and so on. So, but we can make sense out of what this actually means. Here we can see that these people are lower earners, but they spend higher. Same thing here. These people make high income and they spend more. Why these are the middle ground people? So instead of referring to them as number, we can decide to give them a particular name to separate each of them. So let's look for a befitting name for each of them and name them accordingly. So we can say some of them are carefree spenders, some of them are frugal, as I mentioned earlier. So we can just do something like this and we run it. So we have created those, we have labeled each of those numbers using the map function over here based on these things that we can see here. So in the final step, we are going to visualize it now, having in mind that we have the names of the clusters so that we don't lose too much information. So that it can be even easier for us to interpret. So we can do it here. And yes, you can see now, can easily identify what cluster each of them belongs to. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also use this when analyzing those categorical columns that I explained before. So we can use it to check which of the gender, the distribution of those clusters by genders, and so on. So let's create a new part of our data. So let us name it data. So this data will help us categorize the different clusters by gender, and we can also visualize this thing here to see how well our model performed and how well how the clusters are distributed across each gender. So here we have it. So we can see here that our mid-level customers are mostly females, and our frugal rich are mostly females. Our luxury spenders are mostly males, and so on. So you see how you can use machine learning models to make clusters in your data and use them to identify the high-valued customers and use them to make deeper analysis and get deeper insights and make more informed decision making. I hope we learned a thing or two from this session, and I think
All right, all right. So I think if I just wrapped up, I was actually getting carried away. I was learning, I learned one or two things, but I also want to hear from you. So just put in the chat box. So if you were excited, if you at least picked up on one or two things, please put an emoji, so I know that we're fired up for the session and we're going to go through the rest of the session. Just put an emoji in the chat also to appreciate Ifeanyi and his time. Thank you, Gloria. Anyone else? Was it just Gloria that enjoyed the session? I mean, I did, but I also want to hear from you as well. All right. Thank you, Violet. Thank you, Michael. One more person. One more person. Come on. All right, fantastic. Now I see Justina, you joined late. How do you see the recording? Please make sure to fill the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat. All right, so you can have access to the recording. Thank you so much, Emeka and also Michael. All right, so now you have heard a lot of things. You've heard everything that Ifeanyi, just spoke about, and you're thinking like, how do I then get started? All right, how do I start? You have heard everything. It sounds fantastic. You've talked about Python. I'm actually a beginner, when it comes to all of these, but I was also able to pick up one or two things. Now, if you'd like to know more, remember, this is just a short course. All right. You cannot learn Python in 30 minutes. Okay. So if you want to learn more, you need to, just go ahead to register for the data science program here at Analytics. And I'll be talking to you about that more very soon. So how do you get started? Now, the three things that you need to do on this call today, there are just three things that you need to do. The first thing that you need to do is learn. All right, you want to learn the in-demand tech skills. How do you know in-demand tech skills? That's why I'm here today. All right. Now we've talked about, just learning how to use Python as a newbie machine learning engineer. Now, what if I tell you that, you don't have to be a newbie for so long? How do you move from being that beginner to being a professional? I'm pretty sure there's some people on the call that were like, oh, I'm just hearing clusters, I don't know, I'm hearing scatter plots. I don't know what this is, but that's why we're here at 10 Analytics as well. We're going to take you, through everything from the basics. So we're going to hold your hand basically and make sure that you are fully immersed in the data science experience. And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to package yourself. Packaging is very important. I tell people every day, it's very important to package yourself because, we always talk about this common, should I call it an adage now that says, you dress how you want to be addressed. That still speaks to packaging. So how you package yourself will determine if you're able to get a job. All right. Now, when we talk about packaging in this context, we're talking about making sure that you have the employability skills, which are things that will also provide to you. So you have revamping your CV, making sure that you have an optimized LinkedIn profile, having mentorship, because that hand holding, when you have people who have already walked that path before you, holding your hand, it is very important and it helps your learning journey as well. We are also here to provide you with, job reference and recommendation letters and also on the job support. But I'm going to be speaking more on this shortly. Now, what is the third thing that you need to do? You need to apply. You want to target, the job that you want. Are you going for the role of a data scientist? Are you going for the role of a machine learning engineer? Are you going for the role of a Python curriculum designer, and so on and so forth? Target the job that you want, tailor your CV to that job, and apply aggressively. And that, my people, is how you will be able to get a job, whether you're in the UK, whether you're in the US, or in Canada, or any part of the world, really. All right, so we took a look at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report for 2025, and you also highlighted that data scientists are part of the jobs, part of the, people that are being looked out for in the next 5 years. So data science, machine learning engineers, AI and machine learning specialists, these are people that they are looking for, at least from now, 2025 till 2032. So be rest assured that this is a job that is in very much high demand. All right. So remember to fill the attendance form, because once you fill the attendance form, you'll be able to get the recording of this session as well as the slides that I'm using for this session. So all of these wonderful resources that I have linked on this slide, you'll be able to access them. You can see the report is linked here. So once you get the slides, you can click on the report and just go ahead to read through it. Now, what is the 6-step strategy that would help you land a job? Let's take a look at it. The first thing you want to do is identify your desired career. Now, before I go into this, I know that this question is kind of redundant, all right? But I want to also hear from you, the people on this call right now. If you're interested, I see iPhone. iPhone says, I really enjoyed this course. I'm happy you did. Emeka says, is there a way to become a data scientist without being a coding pro? 101%. All right, 101%. So I'm going to ask this question now. If you're interested in becoming a data scientist, especially after listening to Ifeanyi and seeing everything that he had to say, please put DS in the chat. Just put DS. So I know the people that I'm speaking to, I know my target audience. Put DS in the chat. All right, Gloria, DS. Gloria is actually the most active person on the session tonight. Emeka says DS. HP says DS. Fantastic. We have at least 3 people. I know there are more people typing as well. Thank you so much. Now let's listen to how you can become a data scientist, and not just become a data scientist, but actually land a job. All right. So the first thing you do, identify your desired career path. That's what people like Gloria, Emeka, iPhone, HP, I don't know your real names. All right, that's what they have just done. They have identified that they want to go for data science. Now, the next thing you need to do is learn the skills. Here at Analytics, we have a blended learning approach, meaning you have live classes such as this one, right? But now the difference is that you're able to unmute your mic, you're able to speak. So you see the questions that Emeka is typing in the chat, you wouldn't have to type it in the chat. Emeka would simply raise up his hand and speak to Ifeanyi directly, speak to him one-on-one. And then Ifeanyi also walks him through what all these concepts are and answers his questions. Now you'll be working directly with Ifeanyi and other facilitators like him here at Analytics, and then you're working on projects. So that's another beautiful part. You're not just learning the theoretical aspect, you are actually working on projects in class, just like these projects that we worked on, or something more in-depth, because now it's no longer a 30-minute short course, but it's something that is designed to take you from being a beginner, to becoming, a professional. Now, you also have the self-paced learning materials where you have access to our learning management system called the LMS, and you're able to, have lifetime access to recordings, pre-recorded videos of projects such as this one. So you have facilitators solving projects just like this one, and you can watch it over and over and over again. And even if in 2035, you remember that, 10 years ago, I took a program with Analytics, I have some videos there. You can always come back and still access your LMS videos, as well as the recording from all your live sessions, be it live classes, and also drop-in sessions as well. Now, the next step is to gain project-based experience, which I just spoke about, working on a lot of real life projects in class with facilitators such as Ifeanyi, and you're able to use that to build your portfolio. Now, this is what, helps you land jobs. I love to tell people, entry-level jobs do not exist. It's just not possible. It doesn't. All right. A lot of these organizations, when you see an entry level, when you open the JD, you see at least 1 year of experience. It doesn't exist because these organizations also want to make sure that you know exactly what you're coming to that company to do. Now, how do you show them that you know it? It's through your portfolio. What would you have in your portfolio? The projects that you work on in class here at Analytics. That's what you're able to house in your portfolio as your showroom to show your recruiters that you actually know your onion and you know what you are talking about. So we'll also assist you in building your portfolio and showing you just what your portfolio should look like. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to gain the employability skills that I spoke about earlier. You want to have access to us so that we can also prep you for interviews. When you get interviews, we can revamp your CV for you. We can teach you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile and so on and so forth. Next, you want to network. Networking is very important. And that's also the beauty of the Analytics program. You have people from all walks of life. You have people from Canada, you have people from the UK, you have people joining from Ireland, you have people joining from, China, you have people joining from even South Korea, all right? And then you're able to network with all of these people. You're also able to get the mentorship that you need. And that is how you're able to secure a job, all right? Your desired job. Now, I'm just going to, spotlight 2 testimonials. We have a lot of them. And if you had actually joined the session at the beginning, you would have seen a lot of videos playing, of people just sharing their experience with Analytics. We could quite frankly have a 10-hour session just talking about our success stories, because again, remember, we've been able to help over 3,500 people, just like yourself, just like, Emeka, just like Gloria, just like Adeze, just like all the people on this call land their first job in tech. It always seems impossible until it is done. You're looking at yourself right now and you're saying, I don't have, I'm not a coding pro. Emeka just said, how can you learn machine learning, or can you learn code and data science without being a coding pro? You think about things like that and you're like, what, maybe I can't. But it always seems impossible until one day you wake up and you realize that it is actually done. Now let's take a look at these 2 success stories I'm going to be spotlighting. We have the case of Abisola. Now, Abisola was out of work, all right, and she needed to get interviews and job opportunities. Now, she joined the full stack data science program here at Analytics, and 1 month into her program, after a mentorship and interview preparations, she was able to secure a job as a Python curriculum designer and machine learning engineer with a company in the UK. Abisola, am I the only person on this call seeing one head on Abisola's neck? I can just see one head. She has one head, just like myself, and just like a lot of people on this call, quite frankly, everybody on the call. All right. So if Abisola could do it, this can also be your story very, very soon. all right, she was able to secure a job 1 month into the program. Now, what that means is the duration of the program is 8 months. All right, you have 6 months learning in class and then 2 months of internship. But you don't have to wait for 8 months before you can land a job. We actually encourage you to start applying for jobs while you're still with us. All right, and that's how a lot of people are able to get jobs while they are still in the program. Now, let's take a look at Oluwafikayo. Now, Fikayo had a financing and accounting background, nothing related to coding, nothing related to science. In fact, she was, in high school in Nigeria, we call it, the commerce department. She was part of the commercial department, and she had a finance and accounting background. Now, Fikayo also joined our full stack data science program, and she was also able to land a job as a business solutions analyst with a company in Canada 1 month before the completion of her training, just 1 month. So in the 5th month, she was able to land a job in Canada. Now, again, remember that all of these testimonials are linked here. So you don't have to take my word for it. Make sure to fill the attendance form. And once you get access to this slide, you can actually take a look at all of these testimonials that I've linked here. And, listen to what these people have to say, by themselves. All right, so we can spend a lot of time talking about testimonials, but let's just get into the skills that you need to land you a job in 2025. All right, now, a lot of people would say, it's already August. I'm not sure I can land a job. I'm not sure I can still get a 6-figure job, in August or, this year, 2025. We only have 4 months till the end of the year, but I'm here to tell you that it is possible. Think about this lady right here. Think about her. I want you to look at her. That's why I came back to this screen. I want you to look at her and just think about Abisola anytime that you doubt yourself. Emeka, anytime you doubt yourself, think about Abisola. Gloria, any single time you doubt yourself, think about Abisola. And just remember that 1 month into the program, Abisola was able to land a job. Now, for people who don't even know who a data scientist is yet, maybe you just liked what you heard from Ifeanyi tonight. I'm going to explain, who a data scientist is. Now, for the people like myself that love watching movies, when you watch all these crime movies and detective movies and you see these detectives, investigating crimes and all of that. Now, think of a data scientist, just that. Data scientist is simply a detective for data. So how the detectives in these crime shows would, be investigating crime and searching for things. Now, instead of you chasing criminals, you are chasing insights. All right, so you're looking at numbers, you're looking at patterns, you're looking at information that a lot of normal people would ignore, right? Information that people like Elizabeth would ignore. Elizabeth would look at that information and she wouldn't see it. But you, because you're a data scientist and you're a detective for data, you're able to identify these patterns and these numbers and these informations that all of these normal people would ignore. And then you're able to tell businesses what these numbers really mean. You're able to look at, Amazon and say, look, I analyzed your data and this is what it means for you. All right, that's it. And the beautiful part about this is that we actually interact with data science every single day of our lives without even knowing it. We interact with data science. The little mundane things that we do, we are interacting with data science and we don't know. Now, let me tell you, every single time Netflix recommends a movie to you, or for the people that use Spotify, when Spotify suggests a song that you may like, or even when you use Google Maps, maybe you're going to work and you're trying to determine the fastest route, right? That is data science. For people like myself that love to shop online, every time you're on maybe Fashion Nova, Temu, Shein, and when you're trying to make a purchase, at the bottom you see suggestions like, oh, you may also like this. That is an example of data science at work. And the exciting part is that the people who built all of these models that you're seeing on Amazon, you're seeing on Fashion Nova, you're seeing on, Temu, these are the popular sites. The people who built these models, they are not, or they were not born data scientists. They actually learned it step by step, exactly like you are about to. All right, so when you call yourself a data scientist, what you are actually really saying is that I am someone who can turn data into decisions, right? And that's one of the most valuable skills in the world right now. people who are able to turn data into decisions. Companies are willing to pay you for it. Companies are willing to pay you to do it because every single business runs on data. All right. Now, what are the key learning areas that you would take in this program if you were to take the 10 Analytics Data Science program? We'll start off with statistics. All right. And again, remember, beginner friendly. Every single program here at 10 Analytics is beginner friendly. So we'll take you from scratch. It is step by step. We're taking you from becoming, from being a beginner to actually becoming a professional in the field. So you're going to go through introduction to statistics, forecasting and predictive analytics. How can you build predictive models as a data scientist using Microsoft Excel? All right, the spreadsheets that we all know, how can you use that to build predictive analytics so that you're able to tell these organizations, after interpreting their data, you're able to tell them, look, based off of this data, this is what is going to happen next month, or this is what is going to happen next year. Now, when Ifeanyi was walking us through the case studies, I was actually listening and I picked up a thing or two, about Goodie Bag Mall. And they were able to find out, or we were able to do it. We did it together on the call. We're able to find out the gender that was spending more, right? So we could see that, the males were spending more than the females, or we could see that, the mid-level earners were the males or the females, right? While the high-level earners were the males, and so on and so forth. We could actually even see the people that were being stingy with us. Now, that is how beautiful data is. Now, as a data scientist, right? If I had more time, you also be able to see, if I be able to tell the Goodie Bag Mall that, look, based on this data, all right, next year, based on these trends that I'm seeing now, the women will actually buy more, or the women will spend more at our store next year. Now you're able to predict, you're able to build, predictive models using Microsoft Excel. Next, you're going to be learning Tableau for data analytics. So when it comes to building your interactive dashboard, you learn how to use Tableau to do that. And then SQL, the language of the database, structured query language. You're also going to be learning how you can use SQL to speak to your database. Now think of it as the database speaks Spanish. All right. And then Gloria is the only person in the company that can also speak Spanish. So when the organization is trying to understand, I want to see, this is a question that I'm throwing to everyone, and I want to see answers in the chat. So if Gloria speaks Spanish, all right, and Gloria is the only person in the organization that can speak Spanish. Now, when the organization is trying to get something from their data, and this data speaks Spanish, Gloria is the only Spanish speaker, they're trying to understand the data. Who do you think they will go to? I just want to see answers in the chat. Who do you think they will go to? Let's see answers. Thank you, Esther. Esther says Gloria. So Esther, I see your question, and I'm going to take that question after the session. Gloria put her name in caps. I love it. Yes, Gloria, they'll come to you because you're the only person that is able to communicate with that database. All right. Then you're also going to be learning Python programming. Now, what's if I just gave you? It gave you like 0.2% of what you stand to learn, how you can use Python to do a lot of things. All right. You're going to be learning exploratory data analysis. You'll be learning machine learning, which was, what we this today. We're learning computer vision, which is what is used in, speed, and also what is camera right now. All right, this is computer vision in action. Okay, this is the work of a data scientist, just like Gloria. Just like Emeka, someone has programmed, the data scientist specifically has programmed this camera right now in front of me to only recognize me, the human being sitting in front of it. So if there is someone just dancing behind me right now, you can't see it. And if I tell you that, I'm at the beach right now, you don't know, because after recognizing me, it is blocking out my background. Now that is computer vision in action. And you're also going to be learning how you can do this as a data scientist as well. Next, you'll learn GitHub version control. You learn how you can utilize ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot for coding. So you're not doing all the work by yourself. You're also integrating AI into what you do and leveraging it to your advantage. And then you learn Microsoft Fabrics for analytics. Now, I told you about our blended learning approach, all right? A blend of live classes, and self-paced learning. Now we have live classes that happen 2 times in a month, all right? 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month, we have a live class, all right? And we have 2 different timings for the live class. We have, the one for 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, which is the morning class, and then the evening class, which is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. All right. So based on your schedule, you are able to pick the one that works best for you. Now, the reason we did this is to also accommodate you, right? We're trying to be very flexible. This is no longer high school. All right. You don't just wake up in the morning and come to class Monday to Friday anymore. We're actually working. Some of us on here actually have kids, you have a full-time role as well. So we're trying to accommodate all of that. Now, every single live class is recorded. Okay, anything that requires you to join a meeting here at Analytics is recorded, just like this session is being recorded right now. And every single participant has direct access to these recordings. So if you miss a class, all right, you have the recorded version of that class to actually watch, practice with, listen to. You have the case study, the data sets, the projects that you've been assigned to, and so on and so forth. And then, like I mentioned earlier, you also have the self-paced videos that you can watch over and over again at your own time. All right. Now, the learning timeline, like I mentioned earlier, is 8 months. You have 6 months learning in class and then 2 months of internship. But that does not mean that you have to wait. All right, that you have to wait the entire 8 months before you are able to land a job. Now, of course, learning data science alone would feel overwhelming. So if you're just on your own, trying to navigate the complexities, it's going to feel overwhelming. You might not even know where to start. You might not know where to practice, but that is why we built this specific program. All right, it is a guided path. We're trying to guide you from beginner to confident data scientists, with mentorship, with projects. And we also have a community that would make sure you do not give up. All right. So when you think about Analytics, think of us as your accountability partner. We're there to hold your hand every step of the way. So even when you get bored, you're getting overwhelmed with life and you're not attending classes, we're there to also pull you back to classes to make sure you don't forget exactly what you aim to get in the first place, which is that 6-figure job that you're looking at. So we're always here to hold your hand and make sure that you actually realize value from your investment with us, because it's an investment. All right. Now, that is how ordinary people like you and I, ordinary people like us on this call, end up in extraordinary careers. All right. Now, every single program here at Analytics comes with an internship, and you will have the unique opportunity of including Analytics and also Amdari, our partner company in the UK, on your CV, as well as your LinkedIn profile. All right. Now, here at Analytics, we have something we call the job offer formula. It's pretty simple. It's basic addition. All right. It's your technical skills and also your employability skills. Now, in as much as, machine learning, Python programming, computer vision, it sounds very cool, right? But if Emeka learns, computer vision, okay, anybody can learn computer vision. Anybody can learn Python programming, but how do you stand out, right? Especially in these very competitive job markets that we are in today. How are you able to stand out? How are you able to show that, you are actually the person for the job? And that is where your employability skills come in. So you see all of those fun stuff I was talking about, the Python, the project, everything that you're working on, that's only 50% of what you'll be getting with us. Now, the other 50% is your employability skills. And that is where skills like your, reviewing and revamping your CV for you come in. All right. So we are going to actually revamp your CV for you while you're still in the program from the first to the second month, and give you that CV and ask you to use that CV to apply to jobs. Then next, we're also going to teach you how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile to strategically position yourself on LinkedIn also. So as long as so far as you're looking for jobs out there, you also have recruiters that are reaching out to you to say, hi, Gloria, I came across your profile and I'm actually pretty impressed. We have an opening right now in our firm. Would you like to join us? How do you get yourself to that point? Because we also have a lot of participants that, they get their jobs on LinkedIn. They're just posting and they get their jobs on LinkedIn. So how do you strategically position yourself with that? that is on us as well. So we are going to guide you through the entire process. Next is navigating the job market. Mentorship sessions where we bring people like the founders, Adeza Suleiman and Ifemena Ipo, to come back and speak to you and share their wealth of knowledge with you. We also bring people that have taken the program like yourself. We bring people like Abisola that have landed jobs, people like Oluwafikayo, and they come back to the classroom and they speak to you and they tell you exactly, what they did right or what they did wrong, mistakes that they made, things that you can do and things that you should avoid when you're trying to navigate the job market. Now you're learning from people that have already walked this path before you, and you're able to have all of the tips that they'll give you in your back pocket when it is time for you to also get into the job market. Next is the interview preparatory session that I spoke about earlier. So when you get an interview, we're here to also prep you for that interview as many times as you need to boost your confidence. All right. So when you're invited, you apply for jobs, they invite you for interviews, you can book a one-on-one session with someone here at 10Analytics, a professional here at 10Analytics. And that person, what that person does is that person carries out a mock interview for you, an interview simulation. So that person asks you, okay, can you send me the job description? Can you send me the name of the company? And that person does a lot of research. And that person comes back to you and says, Gloria, based off of, this company and this job description that you gave me, these are the kind of questions you should expect. Now, Gloria, if the recruiter asks you this question, answer it this way. If you're asked this question, answer it this way. Emeka, if they ask you what project, talk about this project or talk about that project. Now, what this does for you is it helps you to boost your confidence and it gets you ready for when you are also going into the actual job interview. Next, we're also here to provide you with recommendation and job letters because, like I mentioned earlier, feel free to add 10Analytics on your CV as well as diary. So when you land a job and they ask you for a recommendation or a reference, you can all 100% put down our name here at 10Analytics or diary, and you'll get a reference letter from us once the company reaches out to us. Next, on the job support. So when you land a job, and first month, you're still struggling a little bit, you're trying to understand the intricacies of that particular job. You have projects that you need to work on, you don't know how to go about it. You can book a one-on-one session with us here at 10Analytics, and we'll provide you with the guidance that you need, all right, to carry out that specific task. Next, we have weekly mentorship sessions and also Upwork optimization sessions for people who are interested in freelancing. So we're also going to teach you how you can optimize your Upwork profile, just like we did with your LinkedIn profile. Now, you also have access to a lot of exclusive jobs that are posted on a weekly basis that we pay for. So we actually pay to get a lot of jobs, exclusive jobs that offer visa sponsorship. And every single week, we send these jobs to you to also apply for them. Now, 10Analytics is accredited by the American Council for Training and Development, and this is a certification that is globally recognized. All right. So once you're done with this program, we're actually also going to provide you with a certificate of completion, and then you can show it anywhere in the world. Now, what are the next steps? If you're still with me, I want you to put an emoji in the chat. I want you to put an emoji in the chat. Ibukun says, I am here because of my colleague who took your data analytics program in November 2024 and has now landed a visa-sponsored job with the help of the training and the interview prep. She also mentioned that she applied through your weekly job posts. Can you explain better how it works? I'm so much interested in this great opportunity. Look at Ibukun. I've not even gone too far. There's already someone talking about it. And that is because this is a strategy that actually works. All right. So Ibukun, like I said, once you're a participant of the program, anytime you get an interview, we are here to prep you. All right. Once you register for any of our programs here at 10Analytics, even if you just make 1 or 2 installments, you already have lifetime access to us. So anytime you have an interview, feel free to come back to us and we're going to prep you for that interview. And the weekly job post that your friend also mentioned as well. That is what I just spoke about. So we send you exclusive jobs that you can also apply to. And we actually have a lot of people that, get these jobs. So they come back and they say, look, I got the job that you posted, I was able to get it. Now that is exactly how it works. So Ibukun, if you're interested, just stick with me till the end of this session and I'll show you just how you can go ahead with your registration. So I see Francis, I see Justina, I see Ibukon. All right, fantastic. Now let's look at next steps. So what do you need to do next? What should you do now in order to thrive and land a job just like Ibukon's friend did? You can join our next cohort, and it's starting on the 6th of September 2025. All right, so next month we have a new class that is starting. And what is the pricing like? You may be wondering. Now, every single program here at Analytics is priced at 1,000 US dollars. All right, but not to worry, do not fret. We currently have a discount running. We have a 25% discount running, and it's actually going to end tomorrow. All right. So for the people who are able to, register right now, as you're listening to the sound of my voice on this call, between now and tomorrow, you get to pay 750 US dollars instead. Now, after tomorrow, instead of paying 750 US dollars, you get to pay 800 US dollars. And that is till the 29th of August. Now, after the 29th of August, if you're trying to register for this program, the last 20 people will get to pay 850 US dollars. And after those 20 people are done, anybody that comes next pays 1,000 US dollars. All right. So if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, especially you, Ibukun, you want to grab this opportunity as fast as you can. All right. This discount ends tomorrow. So as you are on this call right now, I expect to see people already trying to register for the program. All right. So what I would love for you to do for yourself tonight is to secure your slots. Do not wait until later. When you try to wait until later, it becomes never. Because again, I said it's an investment. And when you think about it and you think about the money, you're thinking, oh, you know what? Something else comes up. Another bill comes up. So remember, the sooner you start, right, the sooner you can start calling yourself a data scientist, the sooner you can improve the quality of your life, the sooner you can also improve your earning power. So make sure to try to secure your spot tonight. We also have the link to, securing your spot here, and we also have an installmental plan available to you. So you're able to pay in installment. All right. So once you get I'm sure my colleagues are already dropping the link to secure your spot in the chat. But once you also get the slides, you have the link here. Now, let me show you what that looks like. All right. So once you click on that link that is linked on the slides, and also the link that my colleagues are dropping in the chat, you're going to be able to see the list of all the programs we offer here at Analytics. Now, what you want to do, ignore the noise, forget about all the other programs, and simply scroll and choose, the one that you're interested in. Gloria, Emeka, you're interested in data science program. So you want to choose the full stack data scientist program and click on buy now. Now, once you click on buy now, what it does is it opens up an overview of the program. You're able to learn everything. And this program is designed for, beginners. You see it here, whether you're a beginner or an experienced developer, this program would help you to transition seamlessly into the data science industry. All right. You have hands-on learning, you have projects, you're going to be working on 8 projects during the course of the training. So just rest assured that you have a lot of projects to add to your portfolio. Now you can take your time to read through the course description. You can also see the course curriculum. All right. You know everything that you are going to be learning. You just want to keep scrolling and then just keep scrolling. You see machine learning, the case studies, the theory. Now you're learning theory and you're learning practical. All right. So you're not just reading, right? You're learning theory, and then this is the theory, and then you go into the practical aspects of every single concept here at Analytics. All right. And you can see your instructor. You see Ifeanyi, our wonderful instructor tonight. You see their bios. And then you can also see all the job opportunities, or some of the job opportunities available to you as a data scientist. Once you're done with that, just go down and click on enroll now. Now, once you do this, it's going to ask you to create a free account. It's going to take you less than 1 minute to do that. All we need is your full name, your email address, and your phone number. All right, now we're collecting this just so we have your information. So you create a free account, and once you're done creating your account, you'll be able to confirm your enrollment. So I was not asked to create an account because I already have an account. Now, once you want to confirm your enrollment, you just want to select when you want to start. Now, the beautiful thing about this discount is that you can pay now and start in October if you are not free in September. So you can either choose to start in September or in October. So I'm going to also be showing you what the pricing looks like in Naira so that you can see you are able to pay in any currency. So forget the fact that I've been saying USD. You can pay in pounds, you can pay in Naira, you can pay in Australian dollars, Canadian dollars, and so on and so forth. So let's see what it looks like in Naira. Fantastic. So you can see the payment options available here to you. Remember, the original price of the program is 1,000 US dollars. However, for the people that are able to register tonight, as they're listening to me on this call, they get to pay 750 US dollars instead. And you're able to split that payment for as many as 5 times. So if you'd like to pay once, pay 2 times, pay 3 times, pay 4 times, or pay 5 times, you are able to do so. All right. And if you're making 5 payments, you're choosing the 5 installment payments. That means you're saying, you know what? I heard about this discount. I want to pay 150 US dollars now, or I want to pay 123 pounds now, or I want to pay 255,000 naira now. Any currency of choice. All right. And once you put in, you choose the payment plan that you'd like to go with, you are able to complete your registration. So it's just like that, easy peasy. And then you have access to all of the wonderful things that I mentioned. And you can be just like Ibukun's friend that took the data analytics program with us in 2024, and she was able to land a visa-sponsored role. So you're able to choose which of these installmental plans would you like to go with. Do you want the 3 installments, the 4 installments, the 5 installments, 1 installment, or 2 installments? And once you're done with that, just click on Pay Now and complete your registration. It is that easy. All right, it is that easy. It is simply that easy. It's not rocket science. It's very easy to secure your spot, and you can start in September or in October. Now, the second bonus I have for you tonight is for the people that have stayed with me. All right, just to know how many people I still have listening to me. If you are listening to me, put an emoji or a number or a letter. Just put anything in the chat. Put anything in the chat. I'm about to disclose another exclusive bonus that you will be getting upon registration. Esther is excited. I see Violet, fantastic. I see Francis, Lola. Actually have quite a number of people still listening. Okay, so guys, let's just reduce our voice down. Now, the second bonus that I have for you, right? If you register within 24 hours, again, if you register within 24 hours, so after this session, within 24 hours, if you're able to register, you also gain free access to Amdari Vault for 1 month. Now, remember I said Amdari is our partner company. Now, Amdari has a vault of a lot of projects that you can work on, and you have someone guiding you through all of those projects, right? And if you can register or make your first installment, I'm reducing my voice because, again, this is not for everybody, all right? Just for the people that can make their payments within the next 24 hours. You get access to over 250 projects, and you actually get someone guiding you through all of these projects that you can work on. So if you're looking to build your skills as a data scientist, this is perfect for you. But remember, the time is ticking, okay? You only have 24 hours from this session. Now, if I were you, as I'm listening, you just click on the link that my colleagues are dropping and go ahead to secure your spot. Because again, remember, the sooner you do that, the closer you get to that 6-figure job that you're looking for. All right, the discount is for the first 20 people to register in each group. So for the 25% discount between now and tomorrow, the first 20 people to register, they get to pay 25% off. The next group is the 20% discount for the first 20 people as well. And once we get 20 people to pay 20% discount, we go on to the 15% discount. And that also applies to the first 20 people. Once 20 people pay 15% off, the next group of people that come in get to pay 1,000 US dollars, no more discount. So again, where I come from, 250 US dollars is a lot of money. I always aim for the 25. I'm not even concerned about 20% or 15%. The 25% discount is where you will find me. All right. And I hope that is where I'm going to find you as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. Let me look in the chat to see if I have any questions. but the session has just come to an end. So Lydia, my colleague, just put the link for you to secure your spot. All right. So make sure you're securing your spot and you're able to also do everything that you need to do. Okay. Make sure you secure your spot. Adaize also, made sure to drop the link. Just make sure you're doing that and also fill the attendance form. Now, if you'd also like to speak to a professional further, secure your spot and then indicate that you'd like to speak to someone, maybe myself or any one of my colleagues, if you have further questions. And we'll be here to provide clarity for all your questions. So thank you so much for listening to me. Cheers, everyone. And I will see you in class for data science on the 6th of September. Bye for now.